to introduce you all, or some of you are already familiar with Perpetuum Jewels. Jay Moncada has an amazing collection of post-consumer recycled diamonds and gemstones. And as you might have seen on the page on the website, if you haven't gone to it, I highly recommend it because you can see all of the pieces there. And Jay actually has a really cool promotion going on that I'll let him tell you about, and I'll let him introduce himself as well. So, what's up?
Thanks, Dana. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone. I see different places of the world joining us. It's exciting. Thanks to Susan. Thanks for Andrea for putting an incredible event, now virtual, which is fantastic. I've always been honored in being included in the conference for already a third year. I like the idea that every year it gets reinvented, the dialogue, and it just keeps getting better. It's incredible. I don't know how you guys pull it off. It's fantastic. Thanks for having us here. And as Dana mentioned, my name is Jay Moncada. I am the owner of Perpetuum Jewels, LLC, a very young company that is focused and specializes in post-consumer recycled gemstones, specifically. I guess from the get-go, I get, the big question is, what do you mean by post-consumer recycle? What is the acronym? Where do you go from there? Well, we like to specialize in things that have already been worn and loved in antique or estate jewelry. We give significant value to the gems that have been mined and sourced for a long time ago. And that's the offering that we bring to market.
Does this sound crackly to anybody but me?
It is. I hear it too.
Yeah, I'm hearing it too. I was just asking. Getting some weird.
Not sure what's going on. It's probably on my end. You still hear it?
You still hear it. That extra thing is muted.
My two devices at the same time.
You're cutting out, Dana.
I'm cutting out?
Yeah, you're cutting out.
Okay. Oh, so it's not coming from me, I guess. All right.
The sound seems to be coming from Dana's mic because when I mute it, it stops.
Oh boy. Okay.
I guess I'm gonna try to go and come right back. Do you think that's bad?
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll hang out and let Dana know if there's any questions.
We're here.
It does sound like someone's eating crisps. I feel like about.
You get it to the end, the bottom of the bag. So I was super excited to be paired up with Dana, who is also someone who represents really well the responsible movement within our industry. I've had the pleasure of working with Dana for a little over 5 years already. And that's part of our mission, in providing an alternative to the market, and an alternative which is, other than newly mined product, right? There she is. Hello, welcome back.
Sorry about that, everybody.
That works.
The good news is I can also see the chat now. So,
can you see the chat?
I can.
I'm gonna bail. I don't need to scan it to the chat. Let me know if you need me. I'll come back.
Thank you so much.
Okay, ciao.
Ava, yeah, crisps. Luckily the crisp sound is gone. Thanks everybody for your patience. Sorry about that.
All right. I was just quickly talking about the relationship you and I have, as me as a vendor and you as a client, and also our responsibilities inside the movement, in ethical and responsible sourcing. My company is one of the very few, and perhaps the only U.S. company that has a continued certification by a third-party auditing firm called SCS Global Services. We are certified against two of their standards, one as a company, and we are certified as responsible source. And secondly, the other certification we earn every year is for our product, which is post-consumer recycle. And again, back to the question, what is post-consumer recycle? So it's something that's already been part of the consumption market, as we see it, something that was already set in jewelry, put at a store, in a showcase, somebody picked it out, loved it, it was gifted, and then it comes back to be repurposed in the industry in some way or form. It's something that it's incredible to highlight because all precious metals and all precious stones, gemstones in general, have basically a perpetual life. You know, you can reconvert, you can repolish, you can bring them back to life for another 100 years of use. So that's pretty much the offering that we bring to the market as an alternative if you are thinking about sourcing responsibly. We're based out of New York. We're a fairly young company, but I am a third generation in the business of basically gem trading. Started as Colombian emeralds through family. I was born and raised in Colombia. I've been in the U.S. for close to 30 years, and so that's the background of what I do and the reasons behind it. Working with Dana has been great because she's also someone that's mindful about how she sources her product. So.
And it's really amazing as a designer to have this option of post-consumer recycled stones that a lot of dealers don't focus on. And what I also love about them is that you will not find the same things that you will on the traditional diamond market. You don't find the same cuts that were in these times anymore. You don't find the same uniqueness. You just, they have such an interesting story behind them, and the mystery of that is really special as well. And yeah, so I love that.
Right. And that comes out from, because of how we source, right? We, the easiest, I guess, most found item in our inventory, it's of antique origin. So old cuts in diamonds and also colored gemstones, and that have sort of that old world feel and romance, right? That historical context to it, depending on how and where we find them. So that's basically in conjunction with sourcing responsibly what we are bringing to the market. And like you're pointing out, they're all unique. They all have their own story to tell, and that's our kind of like our foundation for informing provenance and historical context to each stone. Absolutely.
So I just put in the chat the link to the page where you guys can go on and you can see a good sampling of jade stones. This is not, of course, his entire inventory, but this is some special pieces that he's picked for this boutique. You can see there's some diamonds and some gorgeous colored stones. So you can take a look at those. And Jay's also going to show us some of the stones on our third little camera here, which is really exciting. And you can also shop right on this platform. And Jay is also doing a very special promotion just for today, just for the conference. So tell us about that.
Okay, I will explain it while I show as well, I guess.
Yes, please. Show us.
So as a big thank you for both Susan and Andrea to keep us in as a vendor group and myself as part of the conversations every year. I wanted to offer the opportunity for everyone who is buying products on the Chicago Responsible Conference website from the shop directly. Everyone who buys $1,000 or above, I am gifting a pair of antique post-consumer recycled diamonds that you can easily pair up with any of the colored gems that you're buying from other vendors, or make earrings with, or hold off for a custom project. And there is a catch, right? I don't usually gift out diamonds without something to be expected in return. But a law for those of you who choose to purchase and are recipients of the gift of the pair of diamonds, all diamonds, is to either fundraise or to make sure you track the proceeds of those diamonds. And I'd like you to pledge those proceeds to come back to the Responsible Jewelry Transformative that it's led by Susan, and try to fund any of those initiatives that are current or in the future. My idea is that we're here for the conference. We have this collaboration and discussion, but I would like us to keep thinking about the future of what this conference and the actors that are brought to this conference can do for the market. So please keep that in mind. I'd love to be able to help Susan in many other ways as well as this, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. So I'm going to start with the most recognized, I should say, the most recognized cut style for antique diamonds, which is the Old European. I'm going to try to bring it into focus here.
Tell us about that one.
So it is, yes, it is listed up on the website. It is a 1.04 carats Old European. It is a style that was most popular in the beginning of the Deco era.
Mm-hmm.
It is characterized by the larger facets, as many of the older cuts have. And you will see it particularly manifested and additional facets beyond of what we know today as the modern round brilliant, is that large keylid in the back. I'm going to put my fingers behind it so you can see it.
And you can sort of see when you're looking at it from the front how there's like a little kind of almost like a circle on the back of it from that. And it really just adds something to it. It's funny how when you have an Old European cut and it has a certificate, like a modern certificate, it will come up as like a not a very good cut on GIA because they don't grade things that way. So just so everybody knows that little fun fact.
Great point.
But it actually is a very good Old European cut. So even though it might not show on the GIA certificate because they're grading it as a modern brilliant.
That's right.
That one's really awesome. That's a really good size for like an engagement ring too.
Exactly right. So you get your 6.5 millimeter spread, as most carat sizes do, and but just a lot more flash. We like to argue that Old Europeans, because they were conceived under different light environments, they would normally outperform modern brilliants because at home you don't have the perfect daylight equivalent that we gemologists use to grade diamonds. So they're probably out manifested in a different light and a much better environment.
Yeah.
I'm going to put right next to it now what's considered an old cushion.
I love that. And it's yes.
So you can see the outline changes between the Old European and the cushion. The cushion is an earlier attempt to get into it. Thank you.
Well, this is an old miner cut, right?
Say it again.
It's an old miner.
It is also considered an old miner, yes. Generally speaking, old miners don't follow anything but the rough outline. So if the rough was a little elongated, it will be a little elongated. This particular one, it's a real cushion. It really is trying to be symmetrical, both length and width, right?
Yeah.
Another thing you can notice is that big keylid in the back.
Yes, that is really special. I love that shape. I love how it's just so different than what you see. I mean, I know I've said that like a million times. I sound like a broken record. But yes, that one's right next to it. I think that you also, too, it's something to be said about sometimes So is it across the board that you'll find like consistent pricing for these, or how does that work when you're sourcing? And actually tell us about your sourcing process.
Oh, absolutely. And I get the question a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you buy your goods? Where do you go source them? I have a very large advantage over anyone else who is trying to source recycle, is that I'm in New York, and traditionally it's a landing lot for unwanted or tradings of jewelry when people come in and they want to upgrade, or they want to turn their engagement ring into a pair of earrings, things like that. We buy in the trade. Number one, we buy from auction houses, and a lot of our clients, like yourself, send their friends or prospective clients with their trade-ins to make an offer on. So we try to keep it, in a small circle. And there are many places where the overall market sources unwanted jewelry. You have pawn shops, you have refiners, places like that. So we try to keep it in a small circle, but the potential for many other sources is magnified. We have to remember that the U.S. has been one of the largest jewelry consumer markets there is. So back from the 1900s, even prior to the discovery of South African mines, which is more or less when these diamonds were conceived, jewelry was already circulating in the U.S. So there's a lot of jewelry out there. It's just a matter of getting to it. I'm going to continue the show and tell here real quick. I'm just set. In the center, you'll still see the old European. And to the left, it's a modern round brilliant, also post-consumer recycled.
That one's awesome. That one's a little bit bigger, looks like.
It does have a better spread, you're right.
Yeah.
I hope you're probably not able to see, but the type of flashes you get on the modern are thinner and like slivery looking flashes, while as the old European is more of a subdued brilliance, which people tend to gravitate towards.
I do think we can see that. It's not perfect. Oh, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, that is amazing. Yes, you like the bigger one, and Jelly. Yeah, the bigger is it's just really a different character. And the modern brilliant, of course, where there's variables in color and clarity of these two stones as well. But it really is a matter of preference. And when I talk to a client when they're looking for a diamond, I always tell them, they always say, "Oh, which one's better?" And I say, "Well, which one speaks to you?" Because it's really a personal choice. No two are exactly alike, and there's not a better, there's not a right or wrong.
That's right. Each stone, and that's what's so interesting about working with the old cuts, is that each stone speaks to each person differently. In terms of quality and size, a lot of people like to go for larger, and that's achievable with an old cut because a lot of them used to be in the lower color. So you can, same budget, you get your larger stone, right? Compromise a bit on the perception of color, and you can do that. But again, it's like you point out, they speak to you. Another interesting fact is, and I really can't compare it on my setup here, is that back in the day, the old cuts were conceived by eye, right? The cutter was being informed by the material, and they already had a target in mind. How do I make it shine? What are the characteristics that I want? Do I want to preserve height? Do I want to preserve depth? Right? They have to project that, as opposed to what modern cutting dictates, which is, well, you have to work within these boundaries to make it ideal or to make it perfect.
Right.
But that's just one way of looking at it. But what old cuts, each stone individually has something to tell, in terms of light performance and the character. So that's fascinating to work with. Every one single stone that we source, it's just incredible to learn and understand.
You sometimes do find matched pairs, even though you don't find things that are
one of a kind, correct? Just so everybody knows that.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, you can validly say you can match one stone with another, but there's always going to be some discrepancy in terms of what proportions are there. But they tend to be all different. Yeah, there wasn't a set guideline to follow up until later, until maybe 1950s, when the ADL 53 facets were settled, and study of light, return, etc., etc. But again, this was all already conceived when our lives was governed by artificial lights. Old cuts were candlelight and gaslight overheads, and just natural daylight too, right? All right, I'm going to show you one of my favorites. It's still with me. It's one of those that I'll never let go. Might stay with me forever.
That's a really beautiful one. That's that carré cut, right?
No, think farther back in time.
The Peruzzi?
That's right.
Oh my gosh, yes, I know you love that one. That one is so special. It's kind of like in the middle of the page on the bottom above the colored stones. Peruzzi is like a really rare find, right?
Yes, it's fun to find them in their current, in their original state, because they tend to be recut after unmounted, at some point, which is a natural process for diamonds.
Wow.
So to find them unedited, it's pretty huge.
That's amazing.
So what's interesting about this is, like, you almost are already, I don't know if people can see, but the pavilion almost retains the octahedral form of the rough. And that was intended, right?
It's incredible. You really need to see the three-dimensional of that, because there's so much weight in that in the bottom. You don't really see it from the flat. And that's why you see almost like a circle on the still image of it behind it, because of just everything that's happening.
Correct.
It plays the light in this amazing way.
And then additional background story on the Peruzzi cut. So we were informed by research, and it's been documented on a couple of early literature, is that there was a cutter in Venice named Vincenzo Peruzzi, who he's attributed to creating the first brilliant cut. Right today, when you look at a GIS certificate, it reads modern round brilliant, or square brilliant, or modified square brilliant, stuff like that. So the idea of brilliance is this rhomboidal facets, both top and bottom. Vincenzo Peruzzi, it's attributed to creating the first brilliant cut. These are his first attempts to getting there, right? This was already after years of advancing polishing techniques, right, which is very hard. Lime is an extremely hard material. And therefore we're calling it Peruzzi, because it closely resembles the first drafts of the brilliant cuts of the time. And this is
that's so cool.
The 1700s.
Wow.
So in theory, this stone and its style has survived a little over 200 years, perhaps.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it's not like they ever get old. Jay, could you repeat the parameters of the promotion again, for somebody joined us late and was asking?
Absolutely. It's actually very easy to get, guys. If you are able to purchase a stone through the conference site, as long as your purchase is above $1,000, you are going to be gifted a pair of rose-cut diamonds, which are antique. I'm going to try to have a quick look. This is what they look like. They're approximately between 0.4 and 0.5 carats total weight.
Those are really amazing.
And the catch is that you need to pledge the proceeds of the making of a jewelry piece with those diamonds, or, great idea, I've done it, fundraise it, and that the proceeds for that come back to the Responsible Jewelry Transformative, which is Susan Wheeler's organization behind the conference and behind many of the initiatives that you're going to learn about throughout this week and for the years to come. So that's the special promotion. It's going to stay on during the conference, and I hope it goes farther than that. So
Absolutely.
If you look up my profile on the conference, there's a little bit of the detail, extra detail there. All right.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I put the link for people who didn't see it when I first pointed it out. I placed the link to the boutique in the chat, so you can find it there.
Beautiful.
Jay is so inspiring, right? Ooh, what's this? Yeah, that's the one. It's the one I was talking about.
That's right. So this is a very early rose cut.
So cool.
You can tell that there's something wrong with the outline. It's not a broken stone. It's not a chipped stone. And parts there are actually wear chips that have created some indentations. But overall, what you're looking at is basically the same outline of the rough that's used for rose cuts. And
I love that.
Type of rough, it's called a macro. We are used to thinking that diamonds are octahedrons, right? Like two pyramids join at the base, and that's what we see today for the brilliant cuts come out of that kind of octahedron. But there are also macros, which are much flatter, almost always in the shape of a triangle, and it's just another way of crystal formation for diamonds. So that's a material that's been used for centuries to cut rose cuts. All of the fantastic diamond coverage that you see on Indian Maharaja royal jewels, very antique rose cuts made out of macles. So those are exciting. This guy is a 0.96 Baroque rose cut, right? Because there's no definite shape, and it spreads almost 10 millimeter. It's 9.5 by 7.3. So you get a lot of diamond for the look.
Yeah, that's amazing. A lot of spread for a weight.
And then I wanted to, now that we sort of have the baseline of the historical context of diamonds, and then if you fast forward a little bit to maybe the middle of the century, you enter the true deco era, right? 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. Then you find more elements like what I'm going to show you here. Here's your quintessential emerald cut. And next to it is the Carré cut. So as you see here, it's a departure from brilliant faceting. These are all just step cuts, which are just bands of light. This sort of ideology behind it's commonly known as the House of Mirrors effect. We just thought.
Absolutely.
Can get it to focus. Let's see if I can not move for a second. There we go.
Focus, yeah. That's awesome. I've always loved the flashiness of emerald cuts, so I love discovering like these older step cuts that you just don't see as often. What makes a carré cut a carré cut?
Well, carré is French for square. It's that simple. There's a lot of French vocabulary reference in jewelry because I guess everything sounds a lot more savory in French. So carré, it just means square. And it's essentially just like a baguette, which is also a French word, but it's just in a square form. Very popular during the Deco era in building this beautiful, structural, linear designs. They were perfect for that. Same thing with the emerald cuts. Emerald cuts have the same step faceting, but they have clipped corners, right?
Right.
The emerald cut that you looked at was a 101 eye color SI2 from GIA. I love that stone because it has the older feel. It's like a mid-century stone. And perhaps found, I don't have the information with me, but I think it was found in a mid-century piece. All right, we only have a few more minutes apparently.
Sorry about that. Just keep showing us things.
All right, I'm just going to do a quick lineup of what is also available in our stock, which is not only diamonds, but also antique color gems. See if I can do that real quick here. And you'll see them all on the website with better photographs, of course. On the left, you have the emerald. It's a Colombian emerald of 1.70 carats. Beautiful. It was found in a mid-century ring, a standard platinum setting with two triangular step cuts on the side. Next to it, it's an old sapphire. You can't tell here, but on the boutique pages, you'll see a square faceting in the center, which is indicative of old techniques. Next to it is a spinel. This is a more contemporary. I think it was from the 1970s, jewelry from the 1970s. But it's beautiful, very juicy, incredible spinel. It's a 2-carat 61, purple color.
Gorgeous.
And then next to it is a sapphire, also antique. It's got a beautiful golden vibrance to it. It just glows in any light. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
And then finally, a sapphire that I find fascinating. It's just got all the cutting decisions in the sapphire is just against the grain. It's a very elongated material. It's super weird and wonky, and it's super deep.
So special, and that color is amazing.
Exactly. So again, it's to reinforce the fact that what it's also inspiring about what we do, which is finding these unusual stones. It's also what makes them stand out from the rest of materials that you find out there. So for everything that we source, we understand provenance. There is some historical context to it, which also adds to, when our clients like yourself are presenting it to your end consumer. So
absolutely. That's very rare among diamonds to actually know the provenance. We have one question, which is how do you need to recut some of the stones to prepare for a sale?
Many times. We'll try to do is fix things that could pose a risk in resetting. Diamonds, not as much, but in color stones, we do that as well. Depending on the age of a color stone, we try to honor the age and we leave it abraded and kind of like wonky as we found it, with the possibility of repolishing. But it's just, we find it interesting on the conversation to show their age and what made it old and why was it significant, as opposed to repolishing to a perfect cut, right? So many times we have to repolish, and at least on the waistline of a diamond or a color stone, that's where most pressure is, and we take care of that. But we preserve the original idea. That's more or less what we do.
Wonderful. Well, everybody, I highly encourage you to check out the page if you haven't already. And this is a really special offer that Jay's offering. And I highly recommend working with him. He's awesome and his stones are amazing. You will not regret buying any of these, I promise you. So, well, anything else you want to mention before we leave, Jay?
Let's make sure the work that Susan and Andrea are putting together this conference is everlasting. We're helping her financially, but let's spread the word about how incredible the initiatives and the motivation behind it is, so that we continue this change.
Absolutely. And I highly recommend everybody to attend the rest of the conference. You will learn so much. Your head might explode, but in a really good way. It's really important information for all of us in the jewelry industry to know. And it's a really amazing community of people. I recommend everybody join us in person next year when we're able to do that. And share it with your friends in the jewelry industry. It's really amazing that we get to share this information online, and for pay what you can price. So thank you all for being with us, and for supporting the conference.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Jay.
Bye, everyone.
All right, take care, everyone.